What is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Knowledge is just facts. Like, okay, I know the capital. Wisdom is the knowledge of things that never change. It's the understanding of things that never change. It's like, what is human nature? What does it mean to be a good person? What is beauty? What is goodness? What is the best way of living? Is it good to have children? Who are we? How did we get here? As a Christian, we believe wisdom starts with the fear of the Lord.
You have a good pulse of what's really going on with younger people. What's something that you've noticed that mainstream media either gets wrong or is just out of touch on?
Young men especially, they desire to be more religious than I think they give them credit for. There is a return to religion. There's definitely a curiosity for God and for going back to the church in a very serious and significant way. Modernity has given us a lot of great stuff, right? I mean, praise God that we have modern medicine and surgery, but the core of modernity is what? You are in charge of your own life, and you could do whatever you want to do, and you're the center of the universe. Sounds good, leads to highest anxiety and hopelessness. There's constant change. And I think young people want to go to a church environment that isn't changing. They want to go to a place that is stable, that is consistent, that is beautiful, that is ancient, that is everlasting, and that is eternal. I don't think being wealthy is that important. Like, do you want to be wealthy of the soul or just have like a bunch of money? The question is fine. If you want to be rich, I can tell you how to get rich. Like, that's actually not that hard. Work relentlessly and solve a problem for people. Like, dedicate your entire life to it. If your whole reason for living is to become rich, you will become rich. Like, you have to sacrifice everything to want to become actually rich, unless you're born into it. Like, no nights, few weekends. I traveled 3,000 days over a decade. I don't drink alcohol. Tucker Carlson doesn't drink alcohol. Donald Trump doesn't drink alcohol. Now, that doesn't mean that like you can't be rich if you don't drink alcohol, but you must sacrifice stuff. Now, it might be that you create a good widget or like you might have a good social media app, but even those guys will tell you, you have to fail a lot. You have to sacrifice a lot. If you want like the secret to get rich, it's actually like not super hard. It's like live below your means, save your money, invest in good companies, and read a lot. If you just read a lot, you'll be well informed. Like I know a lot of people, they're like, I want to be rich. I spent $700 going out this weekend. Like, oh, yes, you don't want to be rich, okay? The best way to build wealth is over long periods of time, saving money and doing boring stuff. It's not get rich quick. It's going to work, saving money, and living below your means.
Do you think it's possible to build wealth when you're making $40,000 a year?
First of all, if you're earning $40,000 a year, you're in a tough spot. And you might be there because your own choices, your own agency. Depends where you live, depends your age. And also depends your circumstances. And so if you have kids and $40,000 a year, it's very hard to build wealth. And that's a real problem that we have to tackle. But if you're 18 years old earning $40,000 a year and you have 4 roommates, yeah, you can build wealth for sure, actually. Like if you have 4 roommates and you're living in downtown Phoenix and your rent's $1,000 a month because you're splitting it 4 ways, you absolutely can build wealth. I mean, so it's a very case-dependent answer.
Now, you've started making quite a lot of money going from the beginning to where you are now.
Very blessed.
Have you handled your own personal finances?
Very carefully. I mean, I'm a big investor. I have a great team that does it. I didn't take a salary from Turning Point USA the first 5 years. I mean, all the money went back into the company. And so my test of a founder is always like, what do you pay yourself the first couple of years? I would say that probably over 75 to 80% of all the money I make is invested.
What do you invest in?
I mean, it's very diversified from private equity. I'm super boring with some stuff too. I'm just like, hey, buy this mutual fund, buy the Dow, buy this index, and just kind of put it aside. I went all in and bought the dip during the tariff stuff and COVID.
Do you manage your own money or do you have people?
No, I have a great guy that does, but I call a lot of shots. Like I make macro decisions, not micro decisions. For example, if there's like, hey, I want to invest in, more artificial intelligence, or I think that oil is undervalued, we'll have a conversation. And then I'll do a little bit of real estate here or there, like flipping homes and stuff like that.
Where do you have the time for that?
Time's a very interesting thing. If you meticulously plan out your day, there's so much waste in people's schedule. How much time do things actually take? Do you really need 2 hours for a meeting? I'm like a time efficiency maximalist. And I still get 9 to 10 hours of sleep a night, amazingly.
Have you always been this way? Like you've had laser sharp focus?
Yes.
You don't do anything to try to cultivate this motivation and laser focus?
No, I've always been very driven, like very, very driven. I thought when I first started this, everyone had equal drive. I didn't realize that like motivation, drive, and grit and hustle was actually like an exceptional quality. And so then quickly I realized like, whoa, I'm just going to outwork everybody. Like, I'm not the most charismatic person. I can speak. I got a good thing going. I'm not the smartest person. I go to Harvard Law. I don't have the highest IQ, but I am going to outwork you. Like, I'll put in more hours. I'll read more books. I'll listen to more podcasts. I will do more meetings. I'll travel to more cities. Like, that I can do. I was just recently graduated from high school. I wanted to go to West Point before that. Didn't get in, and it ended up being one of the greatest things that never happened to me. And so I went to the Republican National Convention. I studied like all the major donors. I had to kind of like sneak my way into the RNC grounds. And at the 4th day, I was so demoralized. I was like, oh, this is not working. I have this idea for Turning Point USA, which basically the idea was to try to win over young people around conservative ideas. And I was in a stairwell, literally a stairwell. And then I saw Foster Freeze doing like a podcast interview with this major cowboy hat on. And I gave him the stairwell pitch. You know, people talk about the elevator pitch. I gave him a stairwell pitch, and he told a couple jokes. He was the sweetest, most godly, incredible person. He was actually took me seriously because here I was 18 years old, no money, no connections, no idea what I was doing. So here I am pitching a guy, a legend, about, you know, this organization that I wanted to start, Turning Point USA. And he took me so seriously, and he wrote me a $10,000 check. And that was like the seed funding, and it might as well have been $100 million, right? It finally was enough for me to be able to start a website, to have gas in the car.
What do you think he saw in you?
He probably saw someone that was passionate enough and crazy enough. And in Foster's own words, he said he saw someone with focus and determination. You asked the question, what did it teach me about risk? Well, honestly, I had nothing to really risk because I had nothing to lose. And so that's like in life, if you think about it, like, okay, if you're second mortgaging your house, like some entrepreneurs are, I don't have like one of those stories. That is something to lose. This is like the only thing you have to lose is your own sense of comfort. Comfort will not bring you success, actually. It won't bring you excellence. Only in that place of uncomfort and discomfort do you actually get to the next level.
Why don't more people think like you?
First of all, it is risk in the sense that we as human beings do desire comfort, and we want to kind of be in a place where we can have certainty above uncertainty. Going and asking a top billionaire for money, you have the probability of failure, and we are very failure averse as a species. I think we have to overcome our genetic hardwiring where so many people think that it's like a life or death situation. I can't ask this girl out. I can't go ask for a raise. What is risk is like if there's a material or a reputational thing you're putting on the line. But if you're 18 years old and you have no money, no connections, no idea what you're doing, I had nothing to lose.
What do you do now to save as much time as possible?
So I'm a huge scheduler. I schedule out days in advance. This is where I'm gonna eat lunch. Like I go down to like 15-minute interval. And then the biggest hack, it's called layering. You know this. So anything you're doing, try to fit 2 or 3 things on top of it. So if I'm traveling to go speak, listen to an audiobook. So then all of a sudden I'm getting 2 things done at once. If I'm training or working out, I'm also gonna be trying to listen to a podcast. I'm a big walker. I think there's a couple health hacks out here that are right in front of us that nobody ever wants to talk about. I'm a huge believer in sleep, like massive believer. I think it's totally undervalued. I'm a major believer in walking. I think we don't talk about walking enough. Just walk, not running, not deadlifting, not cold plunging. Just walking. I'm a big believer in fasting. I think fasting's like untapped power. And then I just think like not eating terribly. My best ideas are when I'm walking. My best ideas are when I'm moving. And I go for walks with my kids. So that's another layering, right? So as far as time, you just also have to be able to say no.
Could we do a couple rapid fire questions
sure,
real
go
quick? Okay. What's your biggest insecurity?
Forgetting something I should know.
Will you run for president?
I'm not running for president.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I mean, if I like die,
Everything just goes away. If you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage, for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.